That won't happen in motorbikes ever. You could put you might be able to put Marquez on an Aprilia, and he might be a place or two further forward, because he will make the difference, or he would have made the difference. I'm not so sure he would at the moment, but I'm sure he'll be coming back.
That is a very good point, actually, and brings us on nicely to this final question that's come in. And there I was thinking we wouldn't have much to talk about. We need Danny Aldridge back on the show, I think. That's what I've taken from that discussion there.
He's hiding under his desk.
Yeah, he's not ready. He's not going to face us yet until a few races in, I think. But this is talking about riders making the difference. Mark Blackman has asked, regarding Enea Bastianini, I wanted to comment on his upper body positioning in turns. I've never seen anyone hang off as far as him. Could this be the beginning of a new style, like how Rossi popularised the whole foot down technique? Or I think he's referring to Kenny Rogers here, the knee drag, and how he made that quite popular. What do you think?
Well, if you look across the evolution of motorbike riders, there is no doubt that Marc Marquez was the man who changed everything. Everybody, even Valentino Rossi, looked at what Marquez was doing to make it work. I mean, it was a sea change. You're right, in that Roberts back in 73 or whenever it was when he first hit the shores over here, you suddenly looked at the guy and thought, wow, what's he doing? Freddie Spencer was one of them. They're the ones we call aliens. They're called aliens for a reason, because they're out of this world, and what they've discovered and what they've decided that they can make that motorbike work better. It comes back into what I just said a moment ago. The rider can make the difference. You look at Mick Doohan's style. Mick Doohan's style looked weird. Norik Abe, even weirder. It was a cross between James Whittam and Randy Momola. Neck out, feet hanging off the pegs, all sorts of stuff. There's so many different styles of riding a motorbike to find that last thousandth of a second. It's a rider makes it. That's what makes MotoGP, Moto2, Moto3, and every other class really so exciting. It's those riders that experiment with where they need to be and how they need. The first time I heard of riders smudging the front brake with the throttle on, still, to leave a bit of weight over the front, to lean that bike into the front. Hang on a minute. That's like the biggest no-no in the entire world. The only people you ever saw have front brake and throttle on at the same time was the amateur that had got the front wheel locked up that was just about to crash because he got a big handful over everything. But then it became a technique. Suddenly you have a little bit of front brake on and the throttle on at the same time to lean it forward. You're flat out through a corner and you're just using the back brake to calm the thing down. There are so many things going on that we cannot physically see from a television point of view, despite the fact it's so brilliant in super slow-mo now, whereas in the past it was just a blur of TV. I mean, I look at some of the old stuff and you haven't got a clue what they're doing. But they're all doing something. They're all looking for some technique that will get you around it, and they won't tell you what it is either. The only way you might see it is through data. Like if you're part of the team and you can see what another rider is doing data-wise. Don't you remember Cal Crutch, though? Cal Crutch used to say, yeah, I've got access to all the data that Marc Marquez has got. I can see what he's doing, but I can't do it. Or words to that effect. I mean, Cal was always very forthright. I loved the way Cal used to speak, and he was dead straight about it. He said the man would lock his front brake into a corner every time. He'd just lock up. These are things that normal mortals don't do, and that's why we classed them back in the day, the old-fashioned way of calling them aliens. Out of this world, some of them blokes. Wait till we get Top Rack in. Woo.
No, you can't wait for that day. I think we'll be on the beers that day comes out. Top Rack, you're number one fan.
I tell you what, I'm a massive fan of Top Rack Razagatioglu. I really am. I think that just he's got a great personality. He's fun to watch. I mean, you could make a film about him all on his own. Oh, while we're on the subject of film, it's a bit grim. The English language MotoGP Unlimited, it's got slated and slammed massively out on Prime this week. They say they're going to sort it out, by the way, folks, that we will be able to get rid of the English dubbed voice that's on it and go back to what everyone saw in the press earlier on when they had press previews and stuff where it was a subtitled event. I don't know why they've dubbed it this English language that you can't get shot of, because it absolutely got slammed this morning, Monday morning, when it was released and we could all take a look at it. I mean, one very, very high up commentator that I worked with fairly recently said he couldn't get past the intro. He had to turn it off.
That bad, God.
It's the most forthright I've ever known Gav in his entire life.
Yeah, it's not the
Good
best launch for MotoGP Unlimited and on Prime, but yeah, as you say, I think that is being fixed as soon as possible. I think for the good of everybody involved. We're rapidly running out of time after all that, but of course we do need to look ahead to this weekend properly, and of course the track circuit, brand new. You've already alluded to it. We've spoken about it as well because they've tested the Mandalika circuit. Yet to properly race there. First time we're going there, Keith. You love that part of the world as well. Can you talk us through what we might expect and your thoughts ahead of Indonesia this weekend?
I think the riders originally were really, really looking forward to this. The first reports you got, it was a little bit tight in places, and it wasn't really, from what they'd seen from pictures and the like, and when they'd been out and took a look at it. But when they rode it, I think they quite liked the layout of it in the end, apart from when it started to break up. The big question is whether they have managed to fix whatever that is the problem with the mix of tarmac that's down on the deck. If it's picking up stones and flinging it out and you're getting showered in big rocks like many of them were, you saw riders with marks on their necks and marks on their hands and holes in their windscreens and so on and so forth. That's unacceptable. Be interesting to see whether they've managed to fix that. And that was in acceleration lines, wasn't just in corners, so it was all over the place. Track itself is massively important for Indonesia. I mean, some of the pictures that are coming back from Golden Goose, David Goldman and the like have been sending us stuff back in and have been beautiful. I mean, this will be a fantastic Grand Prix and one that will be bucket list material, providing they don't muck it up this weekend. If there was a problem with the track, what they should have done is left it till later in the year rather than, ruin the launch, if you like. I think it's going to be a Honda track. I've got that feeling that with the way Pol Espargaro is looking, he went well in the test there. Marquez is there or thereabouts as well as he gets fitter and fitter and fitter. Once he gets bike fit again, as we might expect from him, he's going to be something like it. Ducati won't be as in a bigger state as they were in Qatar. I think that was one of them horrible weekends where they had a mix of problems across all teams and riders. Yamaha, well, Quartararo could get one good lap in around Mandalika, but it's going to be a question of whether that deficit top end wise is going to affect, if you're coming into a corner and a Ducati or a Suzuki or whatever, I mean, particularly Suzuki, they've got the performance now as well, and they turn really well, you're screwed. You're going to lose a place, and that is going to be a problem for Yamaha. So it's going to be interesting to see whether they've got any data from Qatar that's going to assist them this time out. Personally, I think that Honda are well placed for the weekend. Ooh. That's going to be my bet anyway.
Well, is it?
Who's slipstreaming me?
Is it that time then? Is it time for a bet? At the moment, our predictions based off last week, we've all got 0 points. And thank you to those who also...
we were that good.
Yeah, we were that good. And thank you to all those who sent in their own predictions as well. Only a couple scored a couple of points. I think we had a few people with Bastianini on a podium, but nobody for the win there. So well done for predicting that. But I mean, I sat down before this and I just thought I just can't. I couldn't think of anybody to put. But well, go on, Keith. Let's start with you because you think you've got.
It's
going
to be Pol Espargaro's first MotoGP win.
Do you think? Okay.
I'm going with Pol Espargaro.
Okay. You know what? Oh. I did have that, but I crossed it out because I thought you slated him so much last week. So I was like, no. So I'll go for that one.
Well, he should have won last week,
yeah,
in my view.
But he didn't. Go on then. Who's your second and third?
No. Second or third? Sure. I think Quartararo third. Oh. I'm going to go for a Honda 1-2.
Marquez?
Yeah.
Or Nakagami, are we?
No, I'm definitely going to go Marquez. Nakagami needs a good result out that way as well. The Asia Pacific.
They both
Pacific.
do.
Nakagami could, Indomitsu, the major sponsors could definitely do with a bit of a lift out there.
Oh well, all right then. So Pol Espargaro, Marc Marquez, that would make a Honda 1-2, and Fabio Quartararo back onto the podium, first podium for 2022 potentially. All right, you've locked them in. Pete, what you got for us?
I did have exactly the same.
No.
That's why I was smiling as Keith was saying all that. We can't go exactly the same, can we? So
You were thinking, bastard.
I had a Honda 1-2, Pole and Mark, and So I'll go Mark first and Pole second then, just to give a bit of variety.
Right.
And then I had Quartararo as well on the podium, but you know what? Yeah. Let's go Bastianini third.
He subbed him out.
That's a good shout.
He subbed him out.
I would say
he was the one that I was sort of umming and ahhing between him and Quartararo.
Sorry, Pete.
It's going to be a Mandalika mystery weekend, though, isn't it? I mean, one of Keith's comments jumped out at me because he was saying about this is going to be a bucket list event in the future. And the one comment that I saw sort of off the record from guys that have been at the test that sort of I think sums it up. They said, look, this is going to be an amazing event in 2 or 3 years. And I think that's the thing. This first race is just coming a bit too early, isn't it? I mean, obviously with the building around the track and the track surface and everything else, you don't need to be Einstein to work that out. But I think in a nutshell, that's the situation, isn't it? I mean, we've had a COVID pandemic, which has delayed, obviously, construction, as you can imagine. But as Keith was saying, I think there's a few fingers being crossed because it is coming a little bit early, isn't it? So let's hope it all goes well. In terms of the predictions and the track, top speed is down a lot this weekend. That's the one thing you can say for Quartararo and everything else. It was 3:57 or something, wasn't it, in Qatar? You're down to 3:15 at the test. So is that going to help the Yamahas and the other guys? Who knows? But anyway, I still think, as Keith says it already, the Hondas look great at the test. Pole is arriving with all this confidence. I don't think he's never led a race for that long, has he? Certainly 17 laps. So he knows he can win. They know the bike can win, and I think it's all there on paper. But the weather, the track surface. We got Moto 2 and Moto 3 that weren't at the test. What will their rubber do when mixed in with everybody? There's so much unknown. In a way, it's almost more unpredictable than Qatar. But there we are.
Well,
it's going to be one to watch. That's for
saying
sure.
That,
exactly.
I agree with a lot of what you said, but I have gone a different way. I've gone for a mere Suzuki win. Followed by Bastianini second, and I put Marini on the podium. I don't know why. I've just got a funny feeling. Wow. I've got a funny feeling, but this could be the beginning of the end for me. Who knows?
Well,
good luck with that, Harry.
Yeah, I think we'll need it. Well, we're all on 0 points. Now's the time to be risky, and then we'll come back to how it all pans out. Let us know your predictions as well, please, in the comments section below. We love getting them in, and it always is a wide variety, which just emphasises how unpredictable it is right now. It's brilliant. It's brilliant for MotoGP. It's brilliant for racing. It's brilliant for the broadcasters. It's brilliant all round. So looking forward to it, and hopefully the track is in good condition as well, and that will just make it a good weekend, I think, for the second round of the championship. All right then, gents. I think we'll leave it there for now. That does it. Round 2 of the 2022 MotoGP World Championship is this weekend in Indonesia. It's going to be a busy weekend, I think. Make sure you're tuned in across crash.net for all the latest news and analysis across the weekend. And then we'll be back with you next week to take a look at how it all unfolded. So get your questions in, leave them in the comments section, or tweet, Instagram or Facebook us. Just search the Crash MotoGP podcast. It would be rude of me as well not to do a little plug. I know it's a 4-wheel plug, but if you've enjoyed the MotoGP podcast and you are also into Formula One, Crash is launching a brand new Formula One podcast with myself and the mighty broadcaster Ben Edwards and Lewis Larkham as well, who is the Crash F1 editor. So that will be coming out as well. So stay tuned for that in all the usual places. But leave us a review wherever you get your podcast, like, subscribe, all that jazz, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.